Hey, welcome to the Q Reyes Project. This is Q Reyes coming at you once again, and I'm so honored right now. I'm really excited because I have somebody here that is going to talk to us from a different perspective than we usually see. We always see his work, we always see his drawings, we always see his political views, all of that from a newspaper perspective. Now we're gonna hear his voice, and I'm talking about the one and only Lalo Alcaraz. Lalo, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for seeing all that stuff.
Yeah, you have a lot of stuff, and it's funny because it's so consistently good. How long you been doing the cartoon strip?
How long? I think around 12, 13 years.
Wow.
20, yeah, around 12 or so. It's in the ballpark.
Wow.
And that's the daily version. The weekly version, which was in the LA Weekly, ran the total of 17 years.
Wow.
That's once a week, so I wasn't dying.
And that was a daily weekly. Is what it was.
Yeah, it was a daily weekly. I used to laugh when people would ask me, how often does your daily come out?
Once a month, daily months. So, man, that's great. I was looking, it's hard to really look at all of them because there's so many of them, and some of them require you to sit there and kind of stare for a minute so you can get it, because it's not just, some of them, they're not obvious. Some of them are like, okay, this is just a thing. And then when you look at that thing, you're like, oh, I get it. That's the brilliant part of it. What was your influence? How did you get started just doing this type of work?
Well, it runs in my family. We have kind of artists my cousins in Sinaloa are very gifted painters, singers, drawers. But they grew up to be accountants, and so I'm the first one. People usually brag, I'm the first one to go to college in my family. I'm the first one to make a living as an artist in my family. I think that's my achievement.
They probably don't think you're making a living, actually. They're probably thinking you're just messing around. You should get a job. Like, Lalo, when are you going to get a job, Lalo?
After 25 years, I think they're probably either they don't think I'm messing around or they're completely bored of me and they don't want to do it.
Because, it's funny because Latinos, in our culture, we tend to look at the arts as not real work. It's almost exactly. Something you do on the side. Work is working. You have to be there at 9. Yeah. And so that's great. Sinaloa. What part of Sinaloa?
In Mazatlan.
Mazatlan? So, I love Mazatlan. I've been there a lot of times. Yeah. The shrimp, for like $10, you just eat like 20 pounds of shrimp. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. So, and then, so people that want to look at your stuff, I think you got your own website, right? LaloAlcaraz.com. And anywhere else that they could find a lot of your work in case they want to get familiar?
Sure. If you want to go to Pocho.com, it's satire website that I've been doing for a long time. As an offshoot of Pocho magazine, which was a zine that I did with a friend in late 80s and 90s, early 90s in Berkeley.
Nice.
And my comics are at least the ones that are syndicated. They come out on GoComics.com. And you just have to look for me or, /La Cucaracha or /Lalo Alcaraz. My editorials come out there and my daily comic strip. That's my syndicate's website.
No, yeah, I mean, you put your name. Actually, anybody that wants to look right now, Lalo Alcaraz, just put his name. He's going to come up. There's nothing bad out there, right? Is everything good? No nudity?
No,
okay.
There might be a few negative posts about me, but, that comes with the territory.
Yeah, I was looking at that because it's funny because the negative posts actually come from other Latinos, which is kind of weird because it's like, well...
it varies, but I mean, I don't know what it is about. I always ask. Where are you?
I'm Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican, right? So I always ask people from other subgroups, like, are your people as bad as my people? you know, and because I love to ask black people, do you think that we're way more disorganized than you are? Because that's what we think, and they think, oh no, black people are more disorganized.
Well, no one's like Asians. Asians have it together.
Yeah, the Puerto Ricans are the perfect Latino people. That's what I hear. No, that's Argentina.
Well, I would say that. No, Argentinians are not even Latinos. They are the Spanish version of Europe. They're the Europeans Latinos. You know what I mean? Like they're not even part of us. We can't reach that level.
That's funny. You gloss right over the Spanish.
Exactly.
The Argentinians are more Spanish than the Spaniards. Yeah.
Exactly. They made it better somehow.
Well, so what I see what has happened is that some Chicanos lose their mind when they see my stuff. But not all. I think I've been doing it so long. I think I've kind of proven myself. And if you've been obsessing over me for this long, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
there's just an attraction there. Yeah, who knows? Maybe there's something else there. Maybe they looked at your picture, thought you were cute. You won't reply to the comments, so start attacking you. Actually, because right now, let's jump into, you are writing for Bordertown. What are you doing for Bordertown and Fox right now?
Yeah, Bordertown is an animated show that has yet to debut, but it's the most talked about animated show of all time. And it is it's a show done by the show creator. The show creator was a showrunner of Family Guy.
Okay.
And his name is Mark Hentemann, and he worked for Seth MacFarlane, who we still work for now, because he's an executive producer also on this show. So it's an animated, half-hour show in the vein of Family Guy and The Simpsons. And it's got a lot of political satire. It's revolutionary, I think, groundbreaking, because it's actually, the cast is half, the characters are half Mexican and Mexican American, and the other half is kind of redneck. And the subject matter. And they're voiced by Latino voice actors, Mexican American actors, and the subject matter is kind of it's set in a border town in the fictional town of Mexifornia, and it's about two neighbors, a border patrolman, Bud Buchwald, and Ernesto Gonzalez, a very happy and positive Mexican immigrant who's very successful. And it's about that friction between the two, because the border patrolman does not understand why the Mexican immigrant, who just happens to work harder and have 5 jobs, why he's doing better than he is. He's the worst border patrolman in probably North America. And so the comedy is really more about the changing demographics of the U.S., less than, and less about the border, but it is set on the border, so we do a lot of commentary on that too.
Okay, so and I've seen it. The art looks really great, by the way. I don't know. You have anything to do with that? The art part of it?
I wish. It's like I said, the show creator is Mark Hentemann, and it's his designs. And I'm a consulting producer and also a writer on the show. Sometimes I can't tell which is which, but it's a title, I guess you have, and basically, I have gotten to design a few things with input, like the interior of the Gonzalez home. I asked my friends on Facebook, hey, what's all the... Well, do you remember growing up in the 70s and 80s in the U.S., in your Mexican home, name all the things that you would have in it? And then we listed every single thing, like plastic-covered couch and, like, giant horseshoe blanket, Aztec calendar, giant... giant wooden fork and spoon, bead hens everywhere, crucifixes, a wall of family photos, about 10,000 family photos.
That big head of Jesus. Some houses had like a big Jesus head, just decapitated. Where it's like, oh,
the one that's looking up, like,
yeah.
I thought you crucified me.
Yeah, I never thought. I was like, that seems odd. Like to have as a decoration in your home. Next to your kids' pictures. So, and one thing, I'll be honest with you. I love the fact that you're on the show. But one thing that I don't understand is how did Mike Hentemann, man, I don't know if you've heard the background of it. How did he come up with this show since he's not necessarily from a border town? Like, how did he come up with this idea?
This is why I say that the show is really about the changing demographics, because it's the whole impetus is kind of the Bud Buchwald character is kind of like Archie Bunker. So if you remember the show All in the Family, classic 70s political show, and he's kind of a bigot and an idiot, and at first not very likable. If you remember, I mean, even my mom loved watching Archie Bunker, and he was a lovable bigot, so we had to kind of really the inspiration for the show is from Mark's dad, who was had a little bit of that Midwestern and kind of a Midwestern Archie Bunker type of mentality, and how he suddenly could, found himself out of work because the steel mill closed down or the auto plant closed down, and now, he's kind of adrift a little bit in the U.S. and it's changing a little too fast for him. And I think that's where he saw originally the comedy coming from. So I think the brilliant, idea was to set it not just in a barrio, but put it on the border, so he could talk about not only the changing demographics, but also, the culture of the border. But really, I think he wanted to put it in the desert because he and I are both like UFO, X-Files type freaks, Yeah. And so we like that kind of Area 51 creepiness of the desert. And I think that's another, reason he came up with the border part of it, so you could have aliens in it, not the Mexican kind.
Yeah, no, and I think, obviously these shows go through a lot of filtering, so the best is going to come out. That's obvious. But, that's something I just didn't understand, like, what, him being from Cleveland somewhere, like, why not do something related to his background, or if they wanted to do a show about the changing demographics, why not go to you directly and go, well, here's somebody that's been abreast of what's going on with the changing demographics for many years. What ideas do you have, Lalo? Like let's work on whatever ideas you have, because that's the kind of demographic we want to reach. I just felt like they came to you a little bit too late with the concept, because obviously you coming in, I'm saying these are my opinions. I mean, I don't want you to say that this is true or false, but in my opinion, I think that they should have came to you first, and not after the concept was set, and bring you in as a just a writer, when you could have influenced so much more on the whole concept, and having a concept that will be a lot more relatable to the general population. Kind of like your strip, it would be. Like, why not do the cucaracha show? That would be hilarious.
Hey,
improving.
Believe me, I've pitched a cucaracha for years, and I've just. My old writing partner and I had a show in development at the Disney Channel, if you believe that, an animated show. And it just, didn't happen. And I think, for me, I'm happy that I got this, side door way. I mean, I would call it backdoor if I was serving the pastries, in the office. But I'm not. I'm lucky. I landed at a primetime TV show just, after kind of not trying to be in Hollywood for a bit. I actually wrote, I don't know if you've seen that Animation Domination, they're calling it Animation Domination now, but it was called Friends Night, and it's a Fox animation initiative that they were doing to kind of counter Adult Swim.
Okay.
Right? And they have some shows out right now like Major Lazer and Axe Cop and stuff like that. They actually, the summer before I was invited to Bordertown, they called me in and had me write a pilot. And guess what it was about? The guy pitched me an idea about a border patrol station and a right-wing border patrolman, but he was Latino, and so I wrote this pilot, and they passed on it. I said, that's okay, it's your idea, it wasn't my idea. But, you know, it's in the air. It was in the air, and they I think, you know, yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of factors go into how someone develops and pitches a show, you know. So I'm happy that I'm going to have, hopefully once the show's on the air, I'm going to have some serious credits, and I'll be able to be considered a little more seriously for when it's time to do my own show, you know?
Yeah, plus, you know, exactly. I feel like, you know what, and then you're getting obviously paid, I hope, you know, for your, exactly, for your work. So that's always great. I just, you know, maybe is a little bit of activism in me that I feel like, man, like, you've paid your dues, you know, for you, you know, because like you said, you've been around, you try to get a show on, and it seems like Latinos, they won't give you that green light. And if they do, it's always, you're going to be babysat. You know, there's going to be someone on top of you sort of watching your content and how it's put out. And I think that's a real disservice to, you've already proven yourself for many years. So you still have to prove yourself as a grown man, you know, in this industry. And I'm very upset at that, you know, and I hope Bordertown goes on for many seasons so you can get a lot of residual checks and all of that, but because those are nice. But at the same time, I feel like if the show fails, and this is my opinion again, they're going to try to say, well, you know, see, Latinos don't want to watch this, or Lalo was involved, or, you know, but then if it succeeds, oh, Mark Hentemann is a genius. Seth MacFarlane does it again. I feel like the credit is going to be hard to give you credit because they are the creators, but then it's going to be easy to blame you because you are probably the most unknown factor. And I almost feel like they're almost, and again, my opinion, people, I feel like they're using your name to give validity. You know what I mean? Like, almost like, well, you know, well, it's a good show. Lalo's is on it. It's like, yeah, you brought him at the end. You know, you brought him to help you with something that was already in progress. Now, if you said La Cucaracha, if they gave you that chance and that went on and that was a failure, then that would be, well, that's Lalo's show. But if it's a hit, then you will get the credit as well. You see what I mean? It's more. Yeah, I think people shouldn't take it that serious.
I was actually brought in on the ground floor. So, you know, like Gustavo Arellano, actually, this is a good story. I mean, you know Gustavo Arellano, the Ask a Mexican guy.
Yeah, of course.
You know, he's always been really good he's about 15 years younger than I am, and he's always been very good about giving me credit for things that I've done first and the doors that I've opened up. For him, for others, whatever, but he's always been real good and diligent about that. He was the first one that got the call, and he told them, well, you know, if you want me involved in this, you should actually, I mean, he said something to the effect of, I'm not the most hilarious guy in the world. If you want someone that is funny and has done cartoons for 25 years and is right up the alley of this, you have to call Lalo Alcaraz and get him on board. Wow. And that's how I got in. So instead of, you know, the crab story, which I really hate the crab story, but the whole Mexican or Latino crab story, we all know what it is. You know, he reached out laterally and took me with him, you know. And
that's amazing.
And that's a story you don't hear every day, you know. It was good. But we were brought in on the ground floor. I mean, we wrote the biographies for the Gonzalez family. You know, we told them, you know, he should be from here and he should do this, and you know, we were at the formative stage. I mean, there was no meetings before. You know, we were there on day one of this show, and
so it has a lot of your influence. What you're saying, it has a lot of. How much would you say you've influenced the show? Like, if you were to give it a percentage.
Oh God, I don't know, man.
Because that's the thing is that we all want you to succeed. I think all your fans, except for, I don't know, the real militant Mexicans that are out there, which, the Mecha class, 10 years in community college Mecha class student with the ponytail. I don't know. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about your real fans. They really want you to succeed. I think we've all waited for your opportunity, and I don't think it's here yet, but we've all been waiting for it. And we want to know, when we watch this show, how much of you are we going to see? Are we going to see a lot of you, or are you influence some of it?
Well, there are 14 writers, and so we all influence a little bit here and there. But they do come to us when there's some specific questions about, so instead of, how it usually has gone, and I've been guilty of participating, is like, some show will call you and they have a Latino scene, and they'll bring you in to consult on that one scene, and then that's how Latinos don't become writers, Yeah. Instead of getting hired, we get brought in to go look at this scene, and we did that, I did that for a couple of programs, and felt, one of them, I felt like, wow, they just like lifted what we said, and put it in the script, and we don't get that credit. And this is what, my boss said he didn't want to do. He didn't want to be the white guy doing the Latino show. He knew he couldn't do it all by himself. He would be wide open for criticism, especially if it sucked. And so I think, we've done our best to, influence the show as far as not allowing gratuitous, jokes, like frat boy jokes about Mexicans. There's nothing like that in the show. I mean, there's extreme jokes, all around, but there's also things that I think only a Latino writer would be, would be able to steer the conversation toward, and, for instance, one time a writer pitched a joke about this sellout character that we have, Steve Hernandez. He's like a jock border patrolman, right? And he's Bud's boss, and he said, "Yeah, hey Steve, you're like a coconut." And then he kind of paused, and we gave gentle, polite laughter,
Yeah.
And we looked at him, and I go, that's a thing, right? And he said, "What?" Like coconut. Like, he kind of looked at us like, we don't get it. Coconut, brown on the outside, white on the inside. I go, that's a really old thing that you've never heard of, but you discovered independently, but it's not new,
Yeah.
So, the
cliche.
Yeah, it's and so we've helped in that. I've written some very funny penis jokes that have done in the show.
Yeah.
There's lots of different types of ways to influence a show like this. But.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. I mean, if you weren't, your boss is completely right. If you were not part of this, or Gustavo, I mean, it would not get on the air. I think people would be really upset. I think the reason, that's what I mean, the real reason this show is moving forward is because of you. Because you have that kind of power to move a show like this forward, where you could have just had your own show. But I'm gonna get over it, because I think you will soon enough. but at the same time, we're all gonna support you. We're all gonna watch the show, regardless.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and we know that.
I appreciate your advocacy too.
No, because I believe that. By the way, there was another border show. Border shows have been around for a while, especially in animation. I did a show called Caesar and Chewy, and the guy that played Chewy, Rick Najera, he wrote a show, and he did actually an animated show called Bub and Paisa, which was a border patrol agent, just like this. It's like the border patrol agent was Latino. That was kind of like the only difference. So it's nothing really new. It's a matter of how can you make it really clever? How can you make it something different that's not cliche? And I think you're gonna bring a lot of it out. And then a lot of things you can't talk about, right? You might have some things in the works that we might be excited about soon, right?
Yeah, I have, my own animated show that we had at an animation house, and we had to move it. We're going to another animation house, and I'm partners with Adam Small, who was showrunner for Mad TV, and other. He's a veteran, and he's what I like is he's just solidly funny. There's no, that's why I wanted to hook up with an experienced producer and co-writer, and write a show. It's it's a show about it's a little bit of my youth, and it's a Latino show. It's about a couple of Chicanos.
Good.
And but I wanted that touch of like the solidly funny writer that would help me get this thing done and do it correctly, because I really don't have a lot of time to waste.
Yeah. Well, no, not in that sense. You're gonna be here a while, but see how that makes sense, because you're making a Chicano show about your youth. You're not making a show about some white guy in Cleveland trying to get into university. You see what I mean? It's like, why would you do that? It is the same thing in reverse. But hey, I'm over it. I said I'm over it. I'm gonna let it go. I'm letting it go. And also, where else can we find you in social media? So also tell us so we can keep following you and keep abreast.
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Lalo Alcaraz, or you can follow my friend Mexican Mitt Rami. He's at Mexican Mitt. He's a friend I made during the 2012 elections, and once in a while he still tweets out very offensive stuff.
That's hilarious.
Like I said, Pocho.com, Pocho. It's a good place. You get served up like 4 stories every day, usually including one of my cartoons. And we do a lot of funny, dumb crap on there. Or you could just, like I said, go to gocomics.com and look for me there. You could sign up to get my comics for free.
Okay, great.
Every day.
So, Lalo, thanks so much for joining us and for giving us a little bit of you, and what you do and what you're about to do. And let's support Bordertown. I know there's a lot of people upset, but wait, I think people should wait, and let's watch it. Let's support it. And hopefully before the show goes too far, you have your own show. And then it won't matter what happens to Bordertown. It's the Lalo shows over here. Let's watch this. So thanks a lot, man. Really, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, and let's do it again soon.
Let's do it again soon. All right, Lalo, let's stay in touch.
All right, thanks, brother.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.